never seen ski joring before, imagine this. It's a horse galloping down a snowy street while pulling a skier behind it with a rope. The skier then launches off of a jump, spears tiny rings with a lance, and tries to stay upright at 30 plus miles per hour. It's basically rodeo meets downhill skiing, and it is insane. You'll see events all over the western US like this, especially places like Leadville, Midturn, Whitefish, Montana, and Red Lodge, Montana. And for photographers, these events are absolute gold. There were so many people with cameras here, it just made my photography heart so happy. You've got fast action, dramatic snow spray, airborne skiers, and crowds packed along the course. But that means that shooting it well takes a little strategy. And even for me, a pretty well-seasoned photographer, this was a huge challenge for me. So let's get started on how to successfully photograph ski joring. Now, number one, I have to say that before we talk about camera settings, let's talk safety, because these horses are sprinting at full speed. Seriously, like they are booking it. So things can go wrong quickly. So a few important rules: never stand at the course exit, avoid the jump landing zones, and just stay behind the barriers and just watch the path that the horses are taking. Trust me, you'll want to go home with great photos, not a story about almost getting trampled. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the camera settings for ski joring. Now let's dial in your camera. Ski joring is fast, so your settings need to keep up. So I would start with a shutter speed, probably like 1/1600 of a second, all the way up to 1/3200, and even more just to be safe. I would experiment and just start with that, but this does freeze the horse stride, the snow spray, the airborne skiers. On those bright snow days, you can easily push towards 2500 or faster. Now I'm just gonna go on a little tangent here. This was the first time that I ever tried panning, and this was very hard because the horses were very fast and I was standing in a crowd. However, I still do like how it turned out because it shows motion and it shows the story. So I believe for this one I was on about 1/125 of a second. So just keep that in mind. You might need to adjust your settings if you want to pan, but it is something that you can try here if you are, sick of the same old shot. Anyway, moving on, another thing that you have to do when you are at those high shutter speeds is burst mode. Ski joring moments happen so fast, so shooting burst dramatically increases your chances of catching the perfect moment. So I would try to shoot burst modes of the peak action instead of holding the shutter down constantly. This does make culling kind of a pain, but trust me, it's better than like, oh yeah, I just cut off the skier's head, or, I have half of the horse and all of the skier. That brings me to my other pain point, is that they're not super close together. So if you're shooting straight on and you're not shooting up the course, it might be really hard to get all of it in the same frame. And unless you're shooting on burst mode, it's going to be very hard to time that because they are moving so fast. Another thing that we need to talk about is autofocus. I would set your camera to continuous autofocus. For me on Canon, it was AI servo. I believe it's AFC on Sony and Nikon. Track the horse as it approaches, because then the camera can keep adjusting the focus as the action moves, because trust me, they're moving too fast. If you try to focus it all on your own, you're not going to get it. It's going to be blurry. Now, number 4, the best lenses. Your lens choice will make a big difference here. Few that work really well: 70-200. This is perfect for action shots as the horse charges down the course. Another one is 100-400. This is great for isolating athletes further down the track, and you can, potentially be further away. And a wide lens can also capture some super dynamic shots with the horses charging towards the camera and the snow flying everywhere. I shot all of these with a 24-105, and I do think that I do wish that I would have had another lens with me. I really liked that lens, but I wish I would have had more of a telephoto, because I saw some photos that were really cool close up, like the spur on the boot of the horse, or a close up of the skier. And although I can crop, it just wasn't as good as I hoped. So that was one of my biggest mistakes here, was bringing the wrong lens, or just not bringing another lens. So I would bring, maybe a 70-200, or maybe a 24-105, and then also bring 100-400, just so that you can get some dynamic shots. Because, they will come and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's great. But then it's kind of repetitive and it's just you trying to get the perfect shot, where if I had another lens, I think I could have experimented a little more. Okay, photography rambling over. I'm mad at myself. There you go. Now, next, the best places to stand. Where you stand almost matters as much as your camera settings. So here were my favorite spots. Number one, the jump. Oh my gosh, I actually got so lucky, and I was kind of just like perpendicular to the jump. So jumps are great for capturing airtime. You'll get skiers fully airborne behind the galloping horse. Just make sure you're off to the side and not directly in the landing zone. Another one that was pretty fun was the ring spearing section. They're basically like Sonic. Like you just, they go over and the skier tries to grab the rings with the little lance, like as if this sport was hard enough. It's chaotic and it's pretty fun to photograph. Just watch for the moment when the skier leans low and stretches for the ring. Another one is the finish line. You can get some huge snow spray as the team slow down. Now, this is just, again, with the safety zone, just make sure you're not too close because this is where, it's a little bit more unpredictable. So just make sure you are standing off to the side. And then another one, side angles are perfect if you want to try those panning shots, because again, you can just lower that shutter speed. You just focus on your subject, and then hopefully the subject should be in focus, and then the rest should feel blurry, and it just makes the photo feel incredibly fast. Now, as I said before, another thing that you might want to try to do, it is a little hard without a wide angle lens to capture both the horse and the skier because they are kind of far apart. So one of the hacks, if you don't have a wide angle lens or you want a different angle, is try to shoot up. So maybe just lean a little bit, just try to shoot up the course so that you can get the horse and then the skier right behind him. Now, number 6, dealing with the crowds. One thing that people don't expect about ski joring is the crowds. These events can pack thousands of spectators along a relatively small course. If you're interested, I actually edited a photo because the photo was so cool. There was like the skier was in the air, the horse was in the air, nothing was touching the ground, and I attempted to fix it because it was just blending into everything. Like the crowds were just enveloping my subject. It was so frustrating. So anyway, if you want to see that editing video, I will put it down there, but I basically kept that in color and then made the entire rest of the thing black and white just to attempt to get it to pop. I don't know. Oh, it was so frustrating. But anyway, just a few tips. Arrive early, walk the entire course first, look for gaps between the spectators, shoot low to avoid heads in your frame, or just use a longer lens to shoot past the crowds. But sometimes the best shots come from the angles that most people overlook, or just incorporate the crowds in there. Be like, look at all these people looking at this skier being, catapulted by a horse. That's fun too. Just get creative. And then capturing the energy when you're shooting ski joring. Remember that you're not just photographing an adventure sport, you're capturing controlled chaos. So look for moments like the snow exploding behind the horse, or powerful horse strides, dynamic skier body positions, or just crowds cheering along the course. Those elements just add energy and storytelling to your photos. And then lastly, some editing tips. As I said, I did do an editing video on this. These were a little hard to edit just because it can be hard to get your subject, aka the horse and the skier, to stand out from the endless crowds and mountains and, buildings of, I was in Leadville, so like all of these buildings. So it can be a little hard, but I would just really, really try to make that subject pop, whether it's masking and kind of increasing the exposure of the horse and then decreasing the exposure of the background. You might have to tweak it a little bit. These are not the easiest photos to edit. I'm going to hold your hand when I say that. It was a little tricky. And also, because cameras also often underexpose bright snow. So you can try brightening the whites slightly, adding contrast for the snow spray, boosting clarity for those action shots, and then maybe just keeping those cool winter tones for the image because it's supposed to be a winter sport. So just very little things, those adjustments can help bring out the drama in the scene. So if there's one thing to remember while photographing ski joring, it's this: you are chasing moments. It's the thunder of hooves and the skier flying through the air and the snow exploding behind them. You will miss some shots. Actually, you'll miss like 90% of your shots, but that's the fun part. But when you do nail it, it's one of the most epic winter sports photos that you can imagine. Guys, thank you so much for watching this and supporting my small channel. It really means a lot to me. If you did enjoy this video, just make sure to subscribe for more adventure photography tips, and just let me know in the comments if you've ever photographed ski joring. I'm like the biggest photography cheerleader. Like, I want to see your photos. Please let me gush over your photos. So until next time, grab your camera, go chase something wild, and here's to living adventurously through your lens.